All right, welcome out to the 365 Pro Sports podcast. So this will be podcast number 2 of the new year 2021. I did the first one yesterday, which was basically talking about the NFL games that were played on Saturday. We're going to break down the 3 games that were played yesterday on Sunday. There were some really good games. Were there any surprises? I'll let you know if for me if there were any surprises or not. But there were 3 great games that were played yesterday. And remember, I told you in podcast 1 that either I would come out last night after the games or I'd do it sometime early in the afternoon. So we're going to kind of break down those 3 games. Really short podcast today, just like it was. Just like a podcast 1 was, just to kind of break down the 3 games as we start preparing for round 2 of the NFL playoffs. And before I get into the those games, we do got a big game tonight that I do want to kind of talk about, which is the college football championship game, which will be played tonight at 7. It'll be on ESPN, and it'll be the Alabama Tide playing the Ohio State, the Buckeyes. I got to be honest with you, when the college football games started, there was so much what team was going to play, or was the season going to get canceled, were teams going to play. Some teams couldn't play a week because of COVID. Just it's a very different season this year, but we did make it to the final game, which will be played today. I actually had a Clemson, and I'll just kind of go back a little bit. Last year, when Clemson made the championship game and they played LSU, I was all in on LSU because of Burrows. That when I saw this guy play last year, I saw a lot of his games. This guy was phenomenal, man. I saw just something in this kid last year that I said no one's going to beat him. And even though Clemson came into the championship and they were a really good football team, I didn't think they were going to have enough to beat Joe Burrows and the Tigers, and they didn't. And LSU won the championship. But I also said right after that game that Clemson would be back in the championship, and I thought that they even had a better chance this year to win it than last year. Trevor Lawrence was coming back, and so I said, man, this team, the division will be a little easy. I don't see anybody beating them. They'll get into the playoffs. They should make the championship. I kind of figured that Alabama would be back after not making the playoffs last year, and so I kind of figured both of those teams would win. But I really said Clemson will be back, and throughout the season, they impressed me. Of course, they did lose to Notre Dame, but that was the one game that Trevor Lawrence did not play due to COVID, and so they lost that game. But either way, they played Ohio State, who really didn't have, maybe they played half of their games that were scheduled for the season because of the pandemic, and they end up in a championship game. They beat Clemson, so hats off to Ohio State. I was really shocked that Clemson lost and didn't make it to the championship, but that's why they play the game. You never know what can happen. So now, tonight, of course, Alabama beat Notre Dame. I think everybody pretty much thought that that would happen. So now you've got Alabama and you've got Ohio State playing in tonight's championship game. And I got to tell you, I'm all in on Alabama because I just think Alabama will win the game. I don't think Ohio State would beat them. But then again, I said Ohio State wouldn't beat Clemson. So I'm hoping it'll be a good game. We'll see what happens. Alabama, to me, I thought was going to be Clemson if Clemson made it. I mean, they got a great quarterback. They got everything. They've got all the tools. They've got a great receiving core. They got a great receiver. I'm picking Alabama to win this game. But then again, you never know. You can't count Ohio State out. This is a team that Yeah, they've got some talent over there, and they're hungry to win. So Alabama will need to come out and play, but I just think they're the better team, and I just think that Alabama will eventually win this game. But I'll be watching this game tonight with just about everybody else that'll be watching it on TV, and then tomorrow I'll be back on in the afternoon here on 365, and I'll break that college game down between these two teams. And like I said, I'm picking Alabama. I just think they're the better team, and I look for Alabama to be champs once again this year. So we'll see what happens in tonight's game. But I also on the 365 today, I also wanted to break down the three games that were played yesterday. And like I said, there were three great games. And I pretty much watched the two from beginning to end. The middle one, I kind of had to do some things, so I was kind of watching it here and then. I missed some of it, but I did kind of read up on the reports, and I did watch the highlights. But they were really good games as we now get set for round two of the NFL playoffs. And so we'll start breaking down some of these games that were played yesterday. And the first one we'll go to was the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Tennessee Titans. I last year Tennessee, I liked Tennessee. I thought when they came in this year that they would make a run and make some noise. I love Derrick Henry, a 2,000 plus rusher this year. And I thought that the way that Baltimore could win this game is they would have to stop Henry. If Henry got off to 150 or some yards, I thought that would give Tennessee a really good chance to win this game. That didn't happen. Derrick Henry only had 18 carries for 40 yards. That's not going to get it done for Tennessee. And so, of course, Baltimore wins that game, and they did a great job of stopping them. He didn't even get 50 yards, man. So hats off to Baltimore. I thought Tennessee would win the game. Obviously, I was wrong. Baltimore wins the game 20-13, a really close game. But I got to tell you, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, that's a bad man. Really is a bad man. I mean, that run, this is a quarterback running like a tailback. Where corners, linebackers, and safeties can't catch this guy. I mean, this guy gets into the open field and it's over. That's a quarterback in a running back body. So this guy is going to be dangerous. I think Baltimore, definitely they're hungry. Lamar Jackson definitely wants to win. And, they struggled a little bit at the beginning of the season, but down the stretch, they really poured it on. They come into the wild card game. And they get this win over a really good Tennessee Titan team. So we'll see what happens in round two of the playoffs. And on Wednesday, I'll break down the schedules of the round two of the teams that will be playing against each other and kind of give you my predictions on Wednesday. Well, I'll actually give you my predictions on who I think will advance to the championship game. And we'll just talk a little bit more about the kind of year these teams have had. So we'll do that on Wednesday. But Tennessee, I look for them to bounce back next year. They still got Henry, the best running back in my opinion in the NFL. And hopefully they can come back and make some noise next year because I really like Tennessee. But great game by the Baltimore Ravens. The defense really held him to not even 50 points, like as I said, 50 yards, 40 points, 40 yards, excuse me, and when you can do that, Tennessee really isn't going to have much of a chance to win, and that's exactly what that Baltimore defense did, and then Lamar Jackson and the offense did the rest to come up with the win. So again, hats off to the Baltimore Ravens. Great win yesterday for those guys. In Game 2 yesterday in the NFC wildcard game, you had the Chicago Bears playing the New Orleans Saints. Now, I predicted the Saints to win this game. I didn't give the Bears much of a chance. I really did like Montgomery. I'd seen a few games toward the end of the season, and this kid runs hard. And I thought, if he can get going and run, that'll give Chicago a chance. Of course, he was going up against that Saint defense that's phenomenal. These guys are good. this defense. It's hard to run against this team. And I thought if Chicago had a chance, it would have to be the run game. They would have to establish it to give themselves a chance to win this game. That didn't happen. Montgomery had 12 carries for 31 yards, so they kind of got away from the run. They couldn't get much done, and then you're putting it in Trubisky's hands to try to win the game for you, or can be competitive. And I thought he did an all right job. At the beginning of the game, this guy throws a pass. His receiver, if he catches it, has a touchdown, and I think they have the lead or maybe tie it. I can't remember, but he drops the ball, and that drop pass for a touchdown for Chicago, I think, set the tone for the rest of the game. They couldn't really get much going after that. And these are things. When you're Chicago, you got to have those plays. You got to make those plays. Gives you momentum moving forward because you're playing a really good team in Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. And right after that drop, they really couldn't get much going after that. Couldn't get the run going. They really struggled in the past. They just struggled offensively to the point where they couldn't score points. You turn it around and you get Drew Brees, and of course, he had enough to win. But throughout the game, I really wasn't that impressed with New Orleans and his offense because I thought throughout the game, not until the fourth quarter, that they really pull away. Chicago, one big play here, one big play there, and they're right back in the game. So, New Orleans let this team kind of hang around. Luckily, they didn't do anything. Their defense held strong, and New Orleans wins. But I really wasn't impressed with New Orleans' offense, and so they'll be playing Tampa Bay next week. And like I said, on Wednesday, I'll be breaking that game down and giving you my predictions, and I can't wait to do that. But as far as this game goes, they had enough to beat the Bears and advance. And so Drew Brees, to me, looked healthy. That was a question that I had coming into this game with Khalil Mack and that Bear defense. How would he withstand some of the hits? And would he look healthy? He looked okay to me to be able to continue to play. And so, a healthy Drew Brees is going to be good for the Saints. They'll need him if they want to make a Super Bowl run. So I thought he was okay. He played well. Like I said, just the offense. I expect a little bit more as they were playing Chicago, and they did enough, but they didn't impress me enough. So we'll see what happens next week when they have to play Tampa Bay, a better offense than Chicago or Green Bay if they get there with Aaron Rodgers. These are offenses that can't score points. So we'll just see what happens in round two with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. But great win for the Saints as they move on. And then, of course, in the third game, you had the Cleveland Browns going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cleveland wins that game 48-37. I actually had Cleveland. I think I've never really been high on Pittsburgh. I thought Pittsburgh might win this game, though, but everybody was on there. This team is going to go to the AFC. They might even beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Some people are saying, Kansas City better be afraid. I'm kind of worried about Pittsburgh and what they'll do. And I said, man, Pittsburgh's not even going to make it to the AFC Championship. I mean, I've seen this before. They had a great season. They went, I think, on an 11-0 run or some 12-0 run. And then down the stretch, they fell apart. And down that stretch, getting into the playoffs, Big Ben just really looked off at the beginning with the interceptions and put his team in a hole 28-0. What a comeback. What an attempt, a great attempt to come back and almost pull it out. But it was just too much of a hole for his team for him to pull him out. But, I mean, Big Ben was 47 of 68 for a total of 501 yards with 4 TDs. So it wasn't like a bad game. It was just a bad first quarter. Or first half, you could say, with those 4 interceptions that really put his team in a hole, and they couldn't come back. So even though I thought that the experience would be enough to beat Cleveland, that wasn't the case. And as I said, Big Ben's 4 interceptions really hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so Cleveland moves on and Pittsburgh exits. Now the question I'll have here, and I'll talk more about it at the end of the week, or over the weekend is what happens to Big Ben now. So he's got 1 year left on his contract for a pretty chunk of money. So after that, what happens? Does he play out his contract? Does he retire after this year? I know he wants to win another championship, but he really looked bad in this game. And I guess the question I have is, does Ben call it quits? Now, the reports came out that he's saying that he'll talk it over with family. He'll pray on this decision and decide if he'll call it quits this year, or will he play out one more year with Pittsburgh, play out his contract, and then retire. Does Pittsburgh even want him back next year? I would have to say yes. He's been with them for a long time. I think if Big Ben wants to play, he'll come back and finish out that contract. At least that's what I think I would do, and then you can call it quits after that. But Ben is up there in age. This, I'm sure, left a bad taste in his mouth as far as the way he played. So, he just may say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. We shall see in the next few weeks to a month what he decides. But if he wants to play, I would imagine that the Pittsburgh Steelers would want him back for one more year. But as I said, it was just a feeling I had. I didn't think Pittsburgh would even compete. I know they looked good in the season, but once the playoffs comes, it's a young man's game now. I know you've got Tom Brady and you've got Drew Brees on the other side, but these quarterbacks in the AFC are young Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. You're gonna have Tua here, Burrows. You've got Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's a young man's game now, and Ben, I know, wants to win another championship, but I don't think Pittsburgh's gonna get to that Super Bowl with Big Ben. They'll have to deal with somebody else. So we'll definitely see what he decides to do. If he decides to come back, like I said, to play out his final year in his contract, or will Big Ben call it quits? I do have a question on the 365, a Facebook page for you guys that are following there. It's kind of a poll. Should Big Ben retire? If you want to take a vote, you can go there and kind of give your vote if you think he should, or should he come back. And there's a comment section where obviously you can comment for your reason if you said yes or no. Monday through Friday, there'll be a question of the day. It'll range on the 365 Facebook page. It'll be a question that'll pop up, something that may be on the news, something that was on the news maybe a few weeks ago, something that may be hitting at that time. But there'll be a question of the day Monday through Friday. You can go on there. It gets on there about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. There's usually a vote, a yes or no, what you think. So if you like that kind of stuff, you can definitely look on the page, on the Facebook page. Again, it's 365 Pro Sports Talk Facebook page, Monday through Friday, between 8 in the morning by 9 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it'll be a little earlier. There's always a question of the day. You can take a look at it. Like I said, we talk football, baseball. It could be college football. It could be the NFL. Many different things. It could be a question about boxing. It could be a question about MMA. It just depends. I kind of just throw it around. But there'll be a question Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday are the only days that I don't have that. And then come back on Monday morning. We shoot the question of the day again. So I hope you guys will get involved, kind of take a look at it. If it's something that it may be a topic that you like, or a player or coach that you're following, kind of give your yes or no vote. And then if you want to, like I said, on the comment section, kind of just put down why you voted yes or no. But all of these questions will be a yes or a no. So if you don't want to leave a comment, you can at least vote. And we'll kind of see how that goes within the next couple of months. Just kind of something new that popped into my head that I thought that I would do. But again, that concludes the wild card round in the NFL for this year. Now we're going to be going into the round 2. We got some really good games, good matchups coming on. I can't wait for this weekend. And so, like I said, come Wednesday, I'll be breaking down those games, the NFL games, probably sometime around late afternoon, early evening. I'll be back on the 365 and kind of break those games down and give you my predictions on who I think will advance to the championship game. Those games too will also be on Wednesday after I do the podcast. They'll be up on the 365 Pro Sports Twitter page and on the Facebook page. There'll also be a a poll to kind of see what people think, who you think will win. So vote on these teams, or it'll be New Orleans Saints, or it'll be Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But all of these NFL teams at some point or another will be up there. I'll be looking out for that, and hopefully you guys will vote on your team if you like these teams. And if you don't, just kind of want to hear your vote and kind of see where you stand on that. So that'll be on Wednesday. And also, like I said, tomorrow I'll be back down. There'll be a great college game today. Ohio State going up against Alabama. I'm taking Alabama tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow to kind of break this game down and let you know kind of, the breakdown, who had a good game, who had a bad game, if there were any injuries, any penalties, or anything like that. So be looking out tomorrow. I'll be back to break the NCAA, the college football championship game. And once again, I hope you guys enjoy the game. I'll be back tomorrow. I may be back later on this evening to kind of do another a podcast, a short one. I'm not sure yet, so be looking out. But definitely I'll be back tomorrow to break down the college championship game. So until then, have a great evening. Enjoy the game if you're going to watch it. And from 365 Pro Sports Talk, peace out.